Breakout Star of the Year. Now I put on my Twitter that I thought that the Acclaimed and Ricky Starks are like the two runaway leaders in this category. I'm curious if there's any other names that are going to come out, and I'll just say for me, because Ricky Starks has only really been the last couple months, I would have to go with the Acclaimed as the Breakout Stars of the Year or Star of the Year. I was like, I don't want to separate them because they're both great and they both add to the act, and the act wouldn't be the same without them.
And they're one act.
Exactly. Jeff, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think the Acclaimed are a fairly obvious pick, and they're going to be the New Age Outlaws of AEW for a long, long time. They're going to be over because of their entrance and everything like that. I think Takeshita would be good here. I might be overthinking this a bit because I also like to give credit to people who have gone from kind of the morass or the pack to being bankable stars in AEW because it's been such a problem for them.
I think I know where you're going here.
I think there's a case to be made for FTR here.
Oh.
I do. And hear me out because yes, they were tag team champions.
Sure.
But they were heels, but they were never this over.
Yeah.
Than they were this year in AEW. They were never getting these huge. I mean, they get standing ovations now when the music comes on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Ever since the babyface turn and breaking off of the Pinnacle and away from Tully, they are now top tier. You could have them headline a pay-per-view if you wanted them to. I think, in my opinion, and while I have some disagreements with how they've been treated in terms of the AEW Tag Team Championships. Yeah. 3 other companies gave them their tag team titles to defend, and they've gone all over the world to do it. And that's only been a positive boon for AEW and its reputation as well. Mm-hmm. So I think there's something to be said for going from good to great, not only just obscure to very good. And I would make that case here, but I would also say Takeshita would probably be a more safe pick here, but I wanted to make that case as well.
And on television,
go ahead, Kevin.
On television, they were presented as the best tag team in the world on AEW. Even though they weren't the champions, they were always pretty much referred to as the best. Yeah, FTR. Sorry. Yeah. And they're essentially, I don't know if Tony Khan considers them this, but I consider this some signature stars. They're if you're talking about the brand of AEW, they're very much that this is where you come to get, maybe not all the time, but at least some of the time you're going to get some of that old school wrestling.
I think you could make a case that FTR was I don't know how I want to word this, but I think they made the most business difference on a percentage basis, if you want to go with that, not pure dollars, because that's always going to be WWE. And, but in terms of like bringing Ring of Honor from something that might've done $5,000, 5,000 pay-per-view buys to like 25, 30,000 on a regular basis. And that's all FTR and the Briscoes, and mostly FTR because they were doing the heavy lifting. So, I like the way Matthew Burrell put it here. FTR went from like 65% to 85, and the Acclaimed went from like 10 to 75. So he would go with the Acclaimed, but he's also recognizing the point that Jeff made.
I mean, the Acclaimed over-delivered. There's no doubt about that. That match against Swerve and Lee was just absolutely fantastic, and you didn't think they could do that sort of thing.
No.
Nobody ever thought that the Acclaimed could carry the tag belts for AEW, I don't think.
Nobody thought they had a chance in hell of winning, and by the end of the match, everyone was asking, why didn't they win?
Right.
That says it right there. They're my pick. I think I might have already said that. Kevin, who do you got?
I kind of the same here. I felt like Acclaimed and Ricky Starks were the top 2, so for my pick, I decided to go with Daniel Garcia. Because a year ago at this time, he was the number 3 guy in a lower mid-card kind of punk act, just putting over Darby and Sting. And everybody had him tagged as, he's a really good wrestler and someday he'll be a star. And then they had that show in Buffalo where he won, I think that was when he won the Pure title. in his hometown and the main event of Dynamite, and you got to see, this is a guy who 5 years from now will be a headliner, or very well could be a headliner. He developed his personality into a unique personality. He's had really good matches. You can tell the top guys like working with him. And I think they kind of should have gone ahead and pulled the trigger on what they're probably going to pull the trigger on him next year. But to me, he was one of a little bit like the Acclaimed, even though he didn't get the slot they did. Went from being a true homegrown act. And I know, PWG had something to do with that. But he's a guy now. And and I hope he doesn't sort of fall back into the background.
Whatever name he has in North America is because of AEW. PWG made him a wrestler, but AEW made him a star, or whatever level of stardom he has. I'll sneak peek or peek is the right word, at my Wrestling Observer ballot for Wrestler of the Year. At this point for me, not Wrestler of the Year, but Bryan Danielson Technical Award. I'm going with Daniel Garcia, number one. So there's a pick that is very popular in the chat right now, and I'll get to it, but I want to get James's pick first and see if he picks the pick that is very popular in the chat. And if he doesn't, we'll talk about it either way. But James, who do you have?
First of all, I just want to mention real quick on the FTR thing, as much shit as I have talked about Tony Khan, I wonder if FTR could have had the year they had in AAA, in ROH, and all these other organizations, if Tony had let them wrestle more than twice this year. So I think that's something to consider. Yeah. So also, for such a negative year, seemingly, for AEW, with the Cody stuff, the Punk stuff, I'm impressed with how many really good possibilities we had in this category. We have, of course, the Acclaimed, Daniel Garcia, Wheeler Yuta, Ricky Starks, FTR, Takeshita, all these people. Jade Cargill.
Jamie Hayter.
Hayter.
And it came down to the Acclaimed. It came down to the Acclaimed or Jamie Hayter for me. Also, of course, I think an outside pick would be Daddy Ass himself.
Interesting.
20 minutes ago, I went with the Acclaimed. Yeah, I went with the Acclaimed, but I've now officially changed it to Jamie Hayter because she deserves to be mentioned here. And I really like what somebody said in the chat, which is her division needed it more than the AEW tag team division.
That's true.
The Acclaimed have been fantastic. They've been, again, everybody loves the Acclaimed. I've been watching since day one, and I didn't think they were going to be that good. I didn't like them at first. And they've come so far. They're one of my favorite parts of the show. But Jamie Hayter's been a revelation. As soon as she won that title, they changed her look. When you're hearing her talk, she feels like a superstar. And she made that transition so quickly, it's ridiculous. And so, I literally switched my vote from the Acclaimed to Jamie Hayter. They were my top two all along, though.
All my Twitter people went with the Acclaimed, but I think we got to give this to Jamie, based on the chat, based on the case that you just made, and and honestly, like, from where she was a year ago to where she is now, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that. I mean, the Acclaimed is close, but she just had the best women's match in North American wrestling in 2022.
Yeah.
And the Acclaimed had one of the best tag team matches, with Lee and Strickland at All Out, but FTR's had, a half dozen matches at that level or better. So so I like Jamie Hayter, but the Acclaimed upset win, I would say here, because if we'd done this 2 weeks ago, I don't know if Jamie Hayter would have won.
I don't think she would have. Think she would have. That match made a lot of difference, and seeing her post-title win interviews have made a lot of difference.
And the only thing keeping me from that is we haven't seen how they're following up on it just yet.
Fair enough.
Yeah, next week she's probably going to be facing QT Marshall. That's how they've been going for a while with things like this. They might give her the Wardlow treatment.
James put it on one show when he was talking about Action Andretti, and he said, well, they'll probably it up, but we'll enjoy it for now.
Yeah.